What if there was a law older than the pyramids, whispered through secret societies, and hidden between the lines of sacred texts that governs reality itself, but no one ever told you it exists? Most people have heard of the 7 Hermetic Principles, ancient laws said to shape the foundation of the universe: mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender, the pillars of Hermetic wisdom. These are the rules that mystics, alchemists, and seekers have studied for centuries, using them to manipulate fate, bend reality, and align with the hidden order of existence. But there's a missing piece, a law so profound and so closely guarded that it was rarely written down, spoken only in cryptic riddles, passed from master to student behind closed doors. A law that explains why the universe sometimes refuses to follow the rules you think you understand. This is the 9th Hermetic Law, the forgotten key to unlocking the spaces between all things. This law doesn't belong to the bright halls of ancient temples, or the structured logic of metaphysical teachings. It lives in the shadows, between breaths, within the silence after prayers, inside the moments when reality itself shudders, and the veil between the seen and unseen grows thin. In this video, we're stepping into forbidden territory, uncovering the ancient fragments, the whispered secrets, and the profound implications of this elusive law. We'll trace its origins, decode its meaning, and most importantly, learn how to wield its power in your daily life. If you've ever felt like the world was bending around you in ways you couldn't explain, if you've sensed an invisible hand tipping the scales when you thought you had mastered manifestation or the law of attraction, you've already touched the edges of this 9th law. By the time this video ends, you'll not only know what this law is, you'll understand why it was hidden, and how its knowledge separates the true initiates from those forever trapped in the illusions of the lower world. Welcome to the unseen chapter of Hermetic wisdom. Long before Hermeticism took form in the written scrolls of ancient Egypt and Greece, long before Thoth was carved into temple walls or Hermes Trismegistus was whispered of in alchemical chambers, there existed a tradition so ancient it has no name, only echoes. A tradition that didn't divide the universe into simple laws, but instead saw reality as a living consciousness, breathing through laws both visible and invisible. The 7 Hermetic Principles, made famous through texts like the Kybalion, served as the foundation for Western esoteric thought. They were considered the immutable framework upon which all phenomena, physical and spiritual, unfold. These principles, mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender, each offered a window into the divine machinery that moves creation itself. But beneath these codified principles lay a secret too delicate to expose in plain sight, a principle so subtle it was feared more than revered. This 9th law was never meant for the casual student or the eager initiate. It belonged to those who passed the final veil, who stood at the threshold between form and formlessness, and witnessed reality not as a series of mechanical laws, but as a living paradox. We find fragments of this lost law, not in the orderly teachings of Hermetic texts, but in the gaps between doctrines, in the margins of forbidden grimoires, and in the whispered warnings of mystical traditions across continents. The Gnostics called it the law of the shapeless hand, the invisible force that rearranges reality when all other laws have been obeyed. The Sufi mystics spoke of it in hushed tones, calling it the law of the divine misdirection, where God's will bends the very rules you thought were unbreakable. Even the Kabbalists, meticulous in their mapping of divine emanations, left room for this law, calling it Ayin Hanastar, the hidden nothingness, a force neither above nor below the tree of life, but woven through its roots like a silent serpent. What made this law so dangerous to reveal? It dismantled the comforting notion of an orderly cosmos. If the 7 Hermetic laws represented the gears and cogs of creation, the 9th law was the trembling hand that could stop, rearrange, or reverse them entirely. It is the law of divine exception, the space where reality itself breathes and reconfigures, not according to rules, but according to necessity, intention, and alignment with forces beyond human perception. It was guarded because knowing it meant knowing the truth, that no law is absolute and no system is immune to revision. The universe is not a fixed machine. It is a living, dreaming intelligence, and this law is the pulse of that dream. Even today, whispers of the 9th law surface in unlikely places. The Taoist sages called it the law of Wu Wei, the art of action through non-action, where reality yields to those who cease their struggle to control it. Indigenous shamans understood it through the path of the trickster spirit, where form dissolves into play, and the world remakes itself for those unafraid to step beyond the boundaries of fixed belief. To understand the 9th Hermetic Law is to understand that there is no cage, no lock, and no absolute order. There is only the living dialogue between the seen and unseen, and those who learn to speak in that silent tongue hold the keys to rewriting reality itself. To understand the 9th Hermetic Law, you must first question a belief so deeply embedded in the human mind that it feels like truth itself, the belief that reality is a fixed, linear path governed by immutable rules. This is the foundation upon which nearly every spiritual, philosophical, and scientific system is built. Cause and effect, the law of polarity, the rhythm of cycles, all these principles create the comforting sense that life follows a script, and if you understand the script, you can predict the next scene. But the 9th Hermetic Law shatters that script. It says reality is not a machine, it is a conversation. Imagine you're walking through a vast, ancient library. Every book represents a possible future. Every hallway holds the echoes of forgotten pasts. Most people believe they're following a single corridor, bound by the walls of cause and effect, rhythm and polarity. But the 9th Law reveals the trap. There are no walls. There is no corridor. You were never walking. You were always the author. This law is known among the initiated as the law of mutable paths, the rule that no rule is final, no path is locked, and no outcome is beyond revision. It is the law that governs the spaces between the laws, where reality bends not to logic or sequence, but to awareness, intention, and the silent agreements you've forgotten you made. Where the law of cause and effect says every action produces a reaction, the 9th Law asks, who decides which reaction unfolds? Where the law of polarity insists that opposites define existence, the 9th Law asks, what happens when opposites collapse into each other? Where the law of rhythm charts the pendulum swings of time and circumstance, the 9th Law whispers what happens when you step off the pendulum entirely. This is the law of the override, the hidden mechanism that allows consciousness to intervene, to alter, skip, or rewrite the script in ways no ordinary Hermetic teaching fully explains. It is the law of exception and intercession, the law that says, the universe is responsive, not rigid. When you become fully aware of this law, you no longer experience reality as something that happens to you. You experience it as something that responds to you. Ancient mystics hinted at this law through paradox and riddle, knowing it couldn't be handed over like a simple key. To truly see it, you must experience it. You must catch those moments when the world pauses, when time itself seems to hesitate, awaiting your next breath, your next thought, your next state of being. Consider this: a bird flying across the sky casts a shadow on the ground. You see the shadow and assume it's caused by the bird's flight, cause and effect. But what if, just once, the shadow shifted direction before the bird moved? What if the reflection led the event, not the other way around? That is the domain of the 9th Law, where awareness rewrites sequence, and perception becomes the architect of reality. This law is why some manifestations fail, even when all the right steps are followed. It's why two people can perform the same ritual with vastly different results. One works within the Hermetic framework, obeying the established laws. The other touches the 9th Law, intentionally or accidentally, and reality bends around them. The 9th Law does not contradict the other Hermetic principles. It completes them. Without it, the 7 laws form a system of structure. With it, that structure becomes alive, aware of you as you are aware of it. Imagine the Hermetic laws as the bones of the universe, fixed, solid, essential. The 9th Law is the breath within those bones, the animating force that brings the whole system to life, capable of change, adaptation, and even rebellion. At its core, this law teaches one ultimate truth. There is no final authority over reality except awareness itself. All laws yield to the fully realized consciousness, not because they are false, but because they were never absolute to begin with. They were scaffolding, meant to guide the beginner, but destined to crumble in the hands of the master. This is why most spiritual systems, both ancient and modern, avoid mentioning the 9th Law. To reveal it is to admit the illusion of control. Priests, gurus, and teachers rely on the certainty of rules. Follow these steps, say these words, believe these doctrines. But the 9th law offers no certainty. It offers freedom, and with it, the terrifying responsibility of true authorship. This is why the Hermetic path splits. Some follow the well-trodden road of the 7 laws, where order and predictability provide comfort. Others, the rare few, step into the abyss of the 9th, where nothing is guaranteed except the reflection of your own awareness. These are the walkers between worlds, the ones who do not just manifest outcomes, they rewrite the canvas reality is painted on. This law is why prophecy can fail, why miracles can occur, why destinies shift with a single thought. It is why the hidden hand can turn the wheel of fate, rewriting what was written. In the next section, we will go deeper into the mechanics of this law, how it operates, why most people never perceive it, and how certain practices allow the rare individual to awaken the authorship hidden within their own being. To grasp the 9th Hermetic Law, you must leave behind the idea that reality is a rigid structure you're simply navigating. Instead, imagine reality as a reflective pool, not a fixed path, but a surface that responds directly to the weight of your awareness. Every thought, every intention, every unspoken belief ripples across the pool, subtly shifting the reflections that rise to meet you. Where the 7 Hermetic laws describe the pool's natural properties, the way sound vibrates across it, the way the sun's light dances on its surface, the 9th law governs what happens when the pool itself begins to recognize you. This is the law of awareness primacy, the understanding that reality doesn't just react to physical causes, but to conscious presence itself. The law of the living mirror. Imagine walking through a hall lined with mirrors. If you move your arm, your reflection moves its arm. Simple cause and effect. But now imagine a mirror that moves before you do, as if anticipating your action, or worse, a mirror that refuses to reflect you at all, showing a different version of you, or something entirely unexpected. The 9th Hermetic Law governs these anomalies, the moments when awareness itself overrides the script. It explains why reality sometimes breaks its own rules, bending not to past causes, but to the current state of conscious perception. This is why some ancient esoteric schools, particularly the Egyptian and Chaldean mystery traditions, emphasize states of sustained attention, practices where the initiate's awareness was stretched beyond ordinary perception, until the world began responding directly to their gaze. They weren't trying to manipulate events through action, they were awakening the mirror itself, teaching reality to recognize them as co-authors. In practical terms, the 9th law operates on 3 core principles. 1. Primacy of conscious observation. The act of pure, silent observation alters the shape of potential reality. Long before science discovered the observer effect in quantum physics, ancient mystics knew that conscious attention collapses possibility into form. But the 9th law goes further. It states that the intensity, purity, and intention behind your observation determines which layer of reality will respond to you. Most people's awareness is scattered, constantly jumping between memories, fears, expectations, and distractions. This fragmented attention generates incoherent ripples in the reflective pool, causing reality to respond with noise and randomness. But the trained initiate, the one who understands the 9th law, learns to hold a singular, unwavering gaze where awareness compresses into a single point. In this state, the mirror ceases to reflect passively and begins to reveal options that were previously hidden. This is how seemingly impossible synchronicities occur. The mirror responds not to the laws of cause and effect, but to the sheer weight of unified awareness pressing into it. 2. Override through frequency matching. Every Hermetic law operates at specific frequencies. Rhythm flows like a pendulum. Polarity vibrates between extremes, cause and effect pulses forward like a heartbeat. But the 9th law operates across frequencies, standing outside the laws like the master conductor standing above an orchestra. When your internal state, your thoughts, emotions, and expectations align with a frequency outside your usual pattern, reality itself has to adapt. The 9th law teaches that when you match the frequency of a higher or more subtle reality, the old laws, the ones governing your previous reality, begin to loosen their grip. This is why people who undergo profound spiritual transformations often report impossible shifts in external reality. Entire situations dissolve, new paths open, old laws seem to fail. They have stepped into the 9th law's domain, where frequency overrules sequence. 3. The Law of Agreement Revision. Every human being is born into a silent agreement with reality, a contract that defines what is possible, what is impossible, what is predictable, and what is random. These agreements are formed through culture, belief systems, personal experience, and inherited ancestral patterns. The 9th Hermetic Law is the key to rewriting that contract. Most spiritual systems focus on working within the terms of the contract. Manifestation techniques, energy rituals, and affirmations are all attempts to negotiate within the existing framework. But the 9th Law teaches something more dangerous: how to step outside the contract entirely and negotiate directly with the system itself. This is why true initiates were often feared, even by their own orders. They were not bound by the same limitations as others. They could bend the rules not because they were special, but because they understood the rules were never absolute. They were placeholders, temporary agreements made between the observer and the observed. When you awaken to the 9th Law, you stop asking, "How do I work within the rules?" and start asking, "Who wrote these rules, and do they still apply to me?" The forbidden nature of the 9th Law. The true danger of the 9th Hermetic Law is not that it is complex, it is that it is simple. It teaches that awareness overrides form, always, without exception. This is why it was buried beneath the 7 laws, hidden behind symbols, veiled in paradox. To understand it fully is to realize you are not subject to reality. Reality is subject to you. But the price of that realization is absolute responsibility. There is no external savior, no cosmic authority ensuring order, no divine script you are destined to follow. There is only you and the living mirror. What you see is what you are, and what you are determines what can exist. This is why the 9th Law is the secret of both creation and destruction. To those asleep, it means chaos, the terrifying possibility that nothing is guaranteed. But to the awakened, it means freedom, the knowledge that every boundary is temporary, every law is conditional, and every reality is negotiable. In the next section, we will move from theory to practice, how to begin perceiving, activating, and ultimately wielding the 9th Hermetic Law in your own life. The 9th Hermetic Law does not respond to belief alone. It responds to direct experience, to the rare moments when your awareness pierces the illusion of fixed reality. These moments don't happen through blind rituals or memorized affirmations. They emerge when your consciousness steps out of passive observation and into active authorship, when you shift from witnessing reality to shaping it. Here are the core techniques and internal adjustments that open the door to consciously activating the 9th Hermetic Law. 1. Breaking the agreement, the ritual of the silent declaration. Every human being operates within a silent contract with reality, one passed down through culture, family, and personal experience. The first step to working with the 9th Law is to formally reject that inherited agreement. This is not a verbal affirmation. It is a silent declaration done in a deep meditative state when your awareness is at its sharpest. The process: sit in silence, eyes open but unfocused. Breathe until you feel the sense of "I am here," the raw awareness behind your thoughts. Visualize the contract, an ancient scroll, a wall of laws, or a chain wrapped around your being. Do not fight it. Observe it. Study it like a scholar reading ancient text. When you are ready, mentally say, "This is not mine. This was borrowed. I return it." Then, and this is key, do nothing. Sit in the silence that follows. Let reality feel the absence of your compliance. This simple act, rejecting unconscious agreements, sends a ripple through the mirror of reality, alerting it that a conscious participant has arrived. 2. The art of reality interruption. Breaking causality loops. Most people live in causal loops, automatic chains of action and reaction. The 9th Law can only be engaged when you interrupt these loops, demonstrating to reality that you are not following pre-scripted paths. The practice: pick any routine, brushing your teeth, walking through a doorway, unlocking your phone. At the precise moment you're about to do it, pause. Instead of acting, observe the impulse to act. Feel the weight of potential actions hovering in front of you. When you choose to act, do it slightly differently. Use your non-dominant hand, step through the door backwards, or say something unexpected out loud. This small disruption signals to the mirror that you are aware of the script, and more importantly, that you are no longer blindly following it. These micro-interruptions create tiny cracks in the rigid framework, allowing the 9th law to breathe through the cracks. 3. Holding the double awareness, observer and author simultaneously. The core skill in activating the 9th Hermetic Law is the ability to hold two awarenesses at once. The awareness of being a character within reality, and the awareness of being the author beyond it. The exercise at any moment during a conversation, while cooking, during meditation. Step back mentally and watch yourself as if you were a character in a film. Observe your thoughts, movements, and even your assumptions about what's happening. Then, silently ask, if I were the author, how would I rewrite this moment? Hold both perspectives, the character and the author, for as long as you can. This split awareness, the ability to be in the scene and outside the scene simultaneously, is one of the hallmarks of true initiates. The longer you can hold both, the more fluid reality becomes in response to your perception. 4. Direct reality calibration. Asking for immediate feedback. Most people assume reality is silent, that events just happen. Those who work with the 9th law treat reality as a conversational partner, capable of responding in real time. The practice. In any moment of doubt or confusion, directly ask reality for feedback. Silently say, "Show me the next door." Shift the scene, move the pattern. Then, watch what changes. A sudden sound, an unexpected shift in light, a person appearing out of nowhere. Treat these shifts as response points. Evidence that reality is aware of your attention. This technique dissolves the illusion that reality is inert. It confirms the responsive nature of the 9th law, where your focused awareness doesn't just observe events, it reorders them. 5. The emptiness key, where all laws yield. The final practice is the hardest, learning to sit in the void space, where you hold no intention, no desire, no belief. This is the space where the 9th law lives. The point where reality stops following the visible rules and begins responding to presence alone. The process: sit in absolute silence. Let go of all mental content, beliefs, plans, even spiritual concepts. Simply exist as awareness with no goal. Stay there until reality itself shifts around you. A subtle sense that the room is not the same, or that time itself has softened. This is the throne of the author, the point where the 9th law recognizes you as a being who has stepped beyond inherited agreements and into direct authorship. These techniques are not rituals in the ordinary sense. They are interruptions, tools for breaking the rigid frame of assumed reality. The 9th law cannot be controlled directly. It emerges in the gaps between actions, the spaces between beliefs. You are not forcing reality to change. You are stepping into the awareness where reality has no choice but to respond to you directly. Everything you've been taught, from religious doctrines to spiritual laws, to the subtle rules of manifestation, all of it rests on a silent assumption that reality already exists, and your role is to navigate it. But the 9th Hermetic Law exposes the flaw in that thinking. Reality is not a pre-written book. It is a living, breathing mirror, waiting to see who you believe you are. Every law, every cause and effect, every vibration and polarity is a response, not to some external cosmic script, but to the invisible contract you signed when you entered this life. But now you've been shown the crack in that contract. The 9th Hermetic Law is not about bypassing the 7 Hermetic Principles. It's about seeing the hand that holds the pen, the author behind the story. Sometimes that author is you. Sometimes it's the collective agreements of humanity itself. And sometimes, in rare moments, it is the intelligence behind existence, testing to see if you remember you were always meant to hold the pen. Here's the final truth. Every law, every system, every belief, even the ones I've explained here, only hold power if you believe they do. The moment you step fully into the awareness of the author, reality can no longer impose itself upon you. It can only respond to you. So I leave you with a question, one you must answer not with words, but with your state of being. Are you the character, or are you the author? Your answer changes everything. If you're ready to walk the path of the 9th Hermetic Law, you won't find a map. There is no guide, no guru, no system. There is only the silence where all laws pause, waiting for you to speak the next word. Leave a comment below. Are you sensing these moments where reality bends? Have you caught glimpses of the mirror responding before you even act? Share your stories, your doubts, and your experiences, because those cracks in reality are where the 9th law begins. And if you want me to reveal more forbidden principles, ancient teachings and techniques buried beneath mainstream spirituality, let me know. Until then, remember, the story isn't written until you decide what it says.